morning, everybody. And as usual, thank you for your patience. I'm back on production, and so I was still trying to figure out what clips to pull, and I'm so glad that you guys are here joining me. Now, it is 2 days after the debate, and Donald Trump, who's never been all that literate, um, is having serious difficulty reading the writing on the wall. Uh, to be honest with you, he simply cannot face the truth, and in some ways, that's something to laugh about. But in other ways, it's obviously something for which we have to have some rational trepidation. This man does not want to lose. This man, as you know, cannot lose in his own mind. So even when he does lose, he is going to tell us that he won. And I am glad to see, and also, it's a little bit sad as well that we are now, the U.S. government is treating, the January 6th as the transfer of power as for 2025 as I think they're calling it like a special national security event. So, we're going to have to be prepared for that. And also, we have to face that between now and November, Donald Trump will do anything and everything to try to sabotage the election. And I don't know what that looks like, but I do know there are things that we can control and things that we can't. And one thing that we can control is making sure that we are registered to vote. And that includes, my friends, doing what Taylor Swift has recommended that people do, which is to go to the voter registration website. And I don't have the name of it right now to throw into the chat, but it is a website where Taylor Swift mentioned when she endorsed Kamala Harris on Tuesday night. And what it does is it allows you to see, here we go. I want to find this for you. It's like the U.S. government's version of this, and you can check. Oh, here we go. I love this. You go to this website. It is called usa.gov/confirm-voter-registration. And I'm pretty sure this is, you can see whether you can vote. Can I vote? There's a website called, it doesn't matter which one you go to, but there's one called National Association of Secretaries of State. If you just Google, can I vote, and make sure you're going to a .gov website, then it will take you, no matter where you are, you can put in what state you're from and make sure that you are registered, that your registration is up to date for your particular address. Taylor Swift's announcement that she was endorsing Kamala Harris and encouraged people to make sure that they were registered or to register if they had not done so previously, drove over, like in the first, handful of hours, maybe 5 or so hours, drove like 300,000 people to that website. Now, we don't know how many of them clicked through from there, went to their own Secretary of State, and we're just checking to see if they registered, and how many actually registered. But that is a huge amount of traffic, and that was just at the beginning. So please, even if you have been registered forever, go check. Make sure you are not kicked off the rolls. Now, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. And listen to Jason Smith, one of our mods, who says, yes, check please. And hey, Jason, if you or Deb Bremberger or Susan Thompson, our fabulous mods, want to find a website to drop in the link, I know everyone here is registered, but you may need to check after the show and also share it. You can copy and paste it onto, into a Word document for yourself to save for later while after the show. So please check. Now, the reason why I called today's show, he can't, face it, she won, is because I don't think Donald Trump can face the fact that he lost the debate. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but at that time, I did not have as many clips to share with you of what is going on in Donald's world. And I think that the way in which to do this first is to rejoice a little bit in what is absolutely the moment that I believe Kamala Harris won the debate, when she invited folks to go to one of his rallies. So I want to play that for you now, just so we can get in the mood. And by the mood, I mean Donald's mood. Let's do this. And then we're going to see how he reacted, not on stage, but afterward, to this complete evisceration of whatever is left of his damaged ego.
I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so, that would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border?
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating,
Oh my God.
they're eating the
I
pets
can't.
of the people that live there.
Sorry, I can't. Oh my God, you guys, I can't not make it through that clip. Now, before we get to Donald Trump, I laugh because he's unhinged, but we need to also speak. And I'm hearing a dog barking. I don't think the dog can hear this. At any rate, as funny as it is, because he took the bait and he sounds like a complete Looney Tune and unfit for office. And it's really incredible to hear him say that. What I want to point out to you, though, is also the dark side of this, which is the Haitian immigrants who came here fully lawfully, and are many of them in Springfield, Ohio, are going to be targeted now because of these ridiculous lies. These are, wonderful people. There is a clip that is going around on Twitter of a manager, or it's an owner of a business there, talking about how fabulous the workers there are. And people should not be judged just by the economic value they add to society. Everyone's a human being. It doesn't have to justify their existence. But I'm pointing out that these folks are super hardworking. They show up on time for work. They do a good job, unlike Donald Trump, right? So it's really dangerous when he does this. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the racism inherent in his campaign and his advisors. But that's what you saw, right? We can laugh at how badly he did. And I can show you another clip a little bit later that I love. But I really want to show you how people reacted to this. So let's look at some voters' reactions, and then we're going to get to Fox News, because this is where he got slammed, and it feels like there's no coming back from this. Okay, let's play.
I thought the vice president did an amazing job. I thought she had command of the stage. I thought she was a clear winner in the debate. She riled up the former President Trump, had him talking about things that are insignificant, like rally size and using fear-mongering and divisive tactics, which were not helpful to him at all.
Okay, so this is on Fox News, and they played Amanda. She is a Democratic voter from New York. Okay, so that shouldn't surprise us. But it should make Donald angry. As you can see, she is a white, blonde woman. wearing lipstick. She is the demographic that they want to capture. And this is already someone, though, who is a Democrat. So, okay. But it's on Fox News. So that is already upsetting to him. Now, there's more. I've got, I want to find this. Okay. So let's watch this one, also from Fox News.
This very quickly, Bob, is the first time he had 6 prior presidential debates to this one. But this one, at least in my liking, and you're the expert here, he decisively lost it.
Okay. Again, obviously, he saw this too, making him more and more angry. I think I've got another, but let's just play this. What his rage was.
Debate last night, your best ever.
Oh my God. Okay, so this is yesterday morning. Donald Trump calls in to Fox and Friends, and here he is speaking with the actors on the couch. As opposed to I think that was Bret Baier from the other clips saying that Donald decisively lost. And here we have Steve Doocey, father of Nepo baby Peter Doocey, and fluffing Donald up and calming him down before he lets out this fuselage of fury. Let's listen. Sorry, here we go.
Debate last night.
Oops, sorry. I got to start at the very beginning so you can hear the fluffery.
You felt that you won the debate last night, your best ever. I think before the debate happened last night, the Kamala Harris people said that they would actually like to do another debate in October. And I know that last night Fox News sent letters to your campaign and her campaign offering 3 dates of debates moderated by Martha and Bret. One is October 9th in Arizona.
Well, I wouldn't want to have Martha and Bret. I'd love to have somebody else other than Martha and Bret. I'd love to have, frankly, Sean or Jesse or Laura, somebody else. Let's give other people a shot. But I didn't think Martha and Bret were good last night. I thought Jesse was fantastic last night, what he said. Jesse really got it. Jesse said Trump won that debate. We won that debate by a lot. No, I wouldn't want Martha involved.
Okay, Mr. President.
He's afraid to have a debate with ordinary moderators. He needs to have people who are in the complete tank for him. Okay, so there's a little more. What I want to share with you, though, again, is the dark side of the racism inherent in Donald's campaign. And he is going to dial this up because this is what he does. This is who he is. And I really appreciated, I'm going to share a clip with you of Jake Tapper explaining to us who these people are that are with him, traveling with him, including Laura Loomer, who we've mentioned before. Remember, Laura Loomer was a guest on Tim Pool's show. I showed you a clip of them speaking, and she was saying that we should have the death penalty back again for people who commit treason. She doesn't know what treason is, so for her it would be anyone, as Tim Pool was saying, these Democrats who are enemies of Donald Trump, they want to execute. So this is who Laura Loomer is. You also might remember that Tim Pool, as we reported recently, has admitted that he says it was duped. Others may just say that he is a useful idiot, or others might say he engaged in implausible deniability when he was taking $100,000 per video from a Russian front company, Tenet, that just started about a year ago, paying him $100,000 a week, and he didn't know who was backing the company other than a guy named Edward, who does not exist on the internet. Okay, yeah, sure, Tim. And you said you had editorial control, but in reality, you were given these talking points from these Russian handlers. Okay, so that's who Laura Loomer is. Let's play this.
Traveling with some of these folks, conspiracy peddlers, we should note, a veritable legion of doom of bigots and liars, perhaps none so depraved as this woman, Laura Loomer. Here she is getting off of Trump's plane before yesterday's debate. Just on Sunday, she posted an insanely racist message that if Harris, whose mom was an Indian immigrant, wins, quote, the White House will smell like curry and White House speeches will be facilitated via a call center, unquote. On this 23rd anniversary of 9/11, we should also note Loomer posted last year that 9/11 was a, quote, inside job, unquote. Trump continues to bring this person along on his travels with him. Why? I don't know.
Okay, so that's what you heard. She's awful. Let me add a footnote about this before we get back to the concerns around violence and racism in the campaign, which is this. You may have seen that now there's a fight between, if you can believe it, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Laura Loomer. Marjorie Taylor Greene, famous for dining or appearing on stage actually with known anti-Semites and racists and neo-Nazis. Marjorie Taylor Greene, famous for believing that Jewish people have a space laser. I could go on. The unhinged Marjorie Taylor Greene actually thinks someone is beyond the pale, and that is Laura Loomer, accusing, basically saying in a tweet and probably elsewhere that there is no place in the Republican Party for someone like Laura Loomer. So if that gives you some context for Donald's besties, there you have it. Now, I want to now say something more, but it's getting a little intense. So let's focus now on Kamala Harris at the debate on Tuesday, talking about how Donald has a hard time facing up to the fact that he lost in 2020. I'm going to play this because it will be a nice segue to our next topic. Here we go.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election.
Whoa. She said it like it is. And you can see his physical reactions. Now, one thing to keep in mind is she looked at him a lot. She looked at him just paying attention. She offered up other types of faces, which we'll talk about in a moment. He never apparently looked at her at all. And friends, if you know anything about refusing to look at somebody, that is a power play. And it's common for this to happen to women. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. You're in a situation and men just look past you. Not all the time, right? And sometimes it's not about gender. I'm not suggesting everything is. I have been on cable news many times, and everyone has been very lovely. I think you've heard me say this, on set, when you're at the glass table, and there's only been one person in my career who beforehand was very standoffish. And then when we were on set, did not look over at me when I was speaking. So this was a panel. I think there were either just the two of us, maybe, this man and me, and then the host. I think it was Brooke Baldwin was the host. And the person who did not look over at me at all was Jeffrey Toobin. I'm surprised I let him back on CNN because he is utterly rude and an awful person in so many ways, not the least of which is, well, you know what? Let's just leave it at that. But it's not normal to behave the way Donald does. He wouldn't even look at her. But that's okay, because Kamala made it up by looking at him, paying attention to him, inviting people, as we listened to earlier, to watch him. Look what he's up to. Don't ignore him. And so this is where I want to talk with you about the thumbnail, which you saw is four different faces, expressions that Kamala Harris had on her face while she was watching Donald Trump speak. And then, of course, on the left is just a image of Donald And I think I captured that shot right from the same video we just watched. It was the moment when she said that people were leaving his rallies early because they were bored. That was the look, the grimace on his face. And so that brings us to where that image came from. And this is where I want to do a shout out to my friend, the brilliant legal analyst, Dahlia Lithwick. And if you have not read her book, Lady Justice, yet, I highly recommend it. It came out, I feel like I want to say 2 years ago, but who knows? At any rate, she is on fire. She had 2 different pieces yesterday in SLATE, where she is an editor. And the one I am thinking of in particular, guys, has a title of Kamala Harris's Face on Tuesday Was the Stuff of Legend. And the photo montage, those 4 images of Harris, were created, and I'm looking at the caption on this photo. So this is, it says it's a photo illustration by SLATE, and the photos were originally taken by Saul Loeb of AFP via Getty Images. And what you see in the photo, if you kind of, they're different faces, and so, the one where she's just kind of like this, right? This is described in the caption as the chin stroke. Right? And then there was also the furrow, and that's when she's leaning forward going, the furrow brow, she's not squinting like this. It's more like her eyes are up and, she's got the furrowed brow. And then there's another one like this where she's down, her lips she's kind of going like this. That's the bless his heart. And then the other one, the final one shown kind of going in a circle is the side eye. I'm not doing them as well as Kamala does. So that's what those images are. And the reason why this is the illustration that Dahlia offered for her article is this. Dahlia, of course, and so many of us saw how gifted Kamala was in speech, in how her mind was processing what Donald was saying, how she was able to respond on the fly, react to his misinformation, get in her talking points, and all the while never lose her cool, always have a presidential demeanor, and also allow her face to do what our faces do all the time to communicate with each other. And yet, nevertheless, and Dahlia, this piece is utterly brilliant. Nevertheless, we had, and this is what I want to read to you, Frank Luntz, who is, was famous. Well, he's a famous Republican or conservative commentator, who I don't feel like he supports Donald Trump. However, he's certainly no friend of women or Democrats. So I want to read you just a couple parts of this piece, and I think you'll appreciate it. Not a huge amount, because I want you to read it on your own. But here's what we have. So during Tuesday's night's debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, critics almost immediately became obsessed with Harris's face management choices. And here's the quote from Luntz. If she wants to win, Harris needs to train her face not to respond. Okay. And then he said, it feeds into a female stereotype, and more importantly, risks offending undecided voters. Okay, guys, what in the world is he saying? So Dahlia goes on. Other female stereotype haters were quick to agree. Christian conservative Carmine Sabia opined, this is quoted, Kamala Harris has been way overcoached on doing facial expressions because of the muted mics. Anyway, it goes on and on. Now, the next part, and we will close in a moment on this and move on. Harris fans, Dahlia writes, of course begged to differ. The slow blink, the chin stroke, the quirked brow, the squinting laughing eyes. This was the stuff of legend. It was a brilliant tactical attack on Trump's ego. It was a self-memeing performance of the face of every woman who has ever been forced to listen to a bunch of unreconstructive insanity spewing from someone who has undirectionally failed upward. Okay, so I flipping love that. And if you don't know Dahlia Lithwick's work, and I somehow doubt that, she is also a nerd Avenger. I just need to read you. Okay, so I gave you the setup, and then I need to read you why there is possibly no one better on this planet at legal commentary. It's this paragraph, and it just rocks my world. So this is just a few more sentences, and then we'll talk on the other side. Okay. Again, Dahlia Lithwick in her piece for SLATE. Dahlia writes, put aside for a moment Luntz's implication that female political faces need to be trained like small dogs or cucumber plants. There is no better proof that we still can't quite define what we require of women in public life than that we demand that their faces be either vibrant and expressive or cold and dead. I'm old enough to remember that we have, in previous iterations of this battle, Dahlia writes, mandated that women train their voices, their wardrobes, their hair, and their partners into waxy submission so as not, to quote Luntz, risk offending undecided voters. Dahlia Lithwick continues, but what does it signify that Kamala Harris, who has, against all political odds, managed to produce a voice, a wardrobe, a head of hair, and a spouse that all elicit very little horror when displayed publicly, is nevertheless excoriated for the sin of having too much face. Thank you, Dahlia. Bravo. Okay, so guys, if you, again, Dahlia is on SLATE, you should read everything she writes. And she also, of course, has that podcast Amicus. Of course, she is a dear friend, but as I've told you, I don't boast about all of my dear friends. I love them all, but I am mentioning her and reading from her work because it is off the charts. Brilliant. Okay. Now, that brings me, for a brief moment, to I wouldn't call it a commercial break, but speaking of my dear friends, this would be the proper moment to tell you that on Tuesday, 2 days ago, Mary's book came out, Mary Trump. This is Who Could Ever Love You, a family memoir. And she was on, I'm going to move that now. As you know, she was on Morning Joe on Tuesday morning. The hit was supposed to be like at, I feel like 9:30, but it ended up being like 9:40 or 9:50. It's excellent. Mika, she was in the studio in New York with Mika Brzezinski, Jonathan Lemire, and I'm forgetting who, the Donnie Deutsch. And it was a fascinating conversation about families and about her life. And she has been, I think yesterday she was on Nicole Wallace twice. She was on Anderson Cooper once, and she was at the top of the hour for 2 hits with Lawrence O'Donnell. I have not been able to watch all of these, but you can't miss her. So that is happening. And also, as you know, if you're in DC, or if you just want to watch and hear from Mary directly, you can sign up on Zoom, or again, in DC for the Politics and Prose event. I don't think it's sold out. It will be Mary on Saturday night at DC. And as mentioned, I will be moderating, which makes me nervous. Of course, I've read her book, but, friends, business, book launches all together, but it should be fun. Okay, so let's get back, move on to our next topic before we get to Crazy Town, which is this. A few minutes ago, I mentioned Tenet, the Russian-backed company, right? With the front owners who were from Tennessee, who were really being backed by Russia via these RT hosts. And, I'm adding stuff that I told you last week about this. But the money supposedly was coming from some wealthy cosmopolitan man named Edward, who does not exist on the internet. And there's only like a one-page PDF CV of him. And it wasn't just Tim Pool, who was gladly taking this money, no questions asked beyond, oh, thanks for that PDF. I'm sure there was a guy named Edward, give me $100,000 per video a week. There were other people taking that money, and one of them is this dude named Dave Rubin. And Dave Rubin, I would just call him a Russian paid video star. I don't know. I don't know where he's getting his money from now. That's probably not from Tenet anymore. Now that the Russian backers have been indicted, and he's named anonymously as one of the commentators in this indictment. So he's probably not taking dirty money now, but you never know. So he he was upset about Taylor Swift endorsing Kamala Harris. And it's really creepy the way some men, older men in particular, but these conservative men in general, think that they own women's bodies and women's voices. We just heard what Frank Luntz had to say about Kamala's face and how it offends him, projects onto other people, that undecided voters won't like her face. I mean, you come on, man. I don't even want to compare the faces Donald makes or the words that come out of his mouth. But, there we go. So as you may have seen, Elon Musk reacted to Kamala Harris, to Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris. And we did read it out loud on Mary's show on Tuesday night in the after show when we found out about the endorsement. And remember that Taylor signed off on her Instagram post explaining why that she was endorsing Kamala Harris, that she signed off as a childless cat lady. And the photo was of her holding one of her cats. So in response, Elon Musk wrote something really offensive, something like, okay, Taylor, that's it. I will give you a baby and I will protect your cats. Okay, offering to give someone a baby is not like handing over a child for adoption. What he's talking about is raping her, and it's not a joke. I will give you a baby. Do you really think that's what she wants him to do? It's like Donald Trump's talking about fertilization. I mean, it's really gross and disgusting, and that's what he said, right? Okay, but it gets worse. There are a lot of men freaking out because, they have been, for years making fun of Taylor Swift and Swifties. And so I want to play for you. I've got something before I get to the Dave Rubin comments about Taylor Swift. I also have something that J.D. Vance had to say that I want to play for you because J.D. Vance never loses an opportunity to insult women, whether they are single or cat owners. Let's play it.
We admire Taylor Swift's music, but I don't think most Americans, whether they like her music or fans of hers or not, are going to be influenced by a billionaire celebrity who I think is fundamentally disconnected from the interests and the problems of most Americans.
He can't look in the mirror. Okay, so J.D. Vance, after Taylor endorsed, let's just get this straight, is saying that most Americans won't be interested in the views of a billionaire celebrity who's detached from reality. Is he describing Donald Trump or is he describing Taylor Swift? Ask yourself. Secondly, we're not looking for most Americans. And he knows that. We're talking about the demographic of young women who grew up on Taylor's music, who are now in their 20s, right? Maybe even early 30s, who maybe haven't voted before or thought it was important to them. That's what we're talking about. And yes, they will be influenced, JD. Now, the other thing I want to say before I go to the Dave Rubin really creepy Taylor Swift comment is this. When he was at the debate, you may remember that I think it was David who asked him, David Muir, one of the, I think that was his name, who asked him the question about something J.D. Vance had said. and was saying, but JD Vance, I think it might have been on the abortion topic, but JD Vance said X or Y or whatever. And Donald said, I don't talk to JD. So JD Vance, who is being humiliated by Donald Trump, which is Donald Trump's style, but has not yet been called to be assassinated by his followers, right? They have not shouting, hang JD Vance yet. But he's still willing to go on television and say this kind of crap for Donald, who doesn't even give him the time of day, won't even speak to him. Okay, now let's play this and then we will get to Crazy Town. So this again is that Dave Rubin fellow who had been taking dirty Russian money for his videos. Now I guess he's just, I don't know what he's doing, but he's still spewing this BS propaganda. And this is what he's saying to Taylor Swift, which is creepy.
Let's talk a little bit about how this fits into the pop culture part of this, because pop culture is a huge driver of the cultural narrative. Well, here's the tweet from Colin Rugg about the Taylor Swift thing, and we'll get back to it in a second. So as we referenced before, Taylor Swift endorses Kamala Harris on Instagram after the debate on ABC, proudly.
Her name is Kamala. Comma, like the punctuation law. And Dave knows that. I just want to start again because it made me so angry. I promise not to interrupt. Here we go. And
then let's talk a little bit about how this fits into the pop culture part of this, because pop culture is a huge driver of the cultural narrative. Well, here's the tweet from Colin Rugg about the Taylor Swift thing, and we'll get back to it in a second. So as we referenced before, Taylor Swift endorses Kamala Harris on Instagram after the debate on ABC, proudly calls herself a childless cat lady. Elon Musk, who they hate, he saw that. And he wrote this: "Fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life." So he's mocking, he's exposing the ridiculousness, right? It's like, Taylor Swift, you are a young, pretty girl. Do you know what the gang members from...
Sorry, I said I wouldn't interrupt. You are a young, pretty girl? He says he's mocking her? Like, in other words, what this guy thinking is mocking is what he's saying, you're not a childless cat lady. We think of childless cat ladies as these old, undesirable women. You know, the kind of people J.D. Vance would call postmenopausal. You're not one of them. You're a piece of ass, is what he's trying to say. Thanks so much, Dave. Okay, as he mansplains what Elon meant. I just backed this up so you can hear that fresh.
This, right? It's like, Taylor Swift, you are a young, pretty girl. Do you know what the gang members from Venezuela do to young, pretty girls? It ain't pretty. So what do we have to do? We have to keep finding each other to whatever extent we can.
I'm sorry. What in the world? He is threatening Taylor Swift with rape from Venezuelan gang members? Excuse me, what does Donald Trump do to young, pretty girls, to young, pretty women? Donald Trump, the person she is not endorsing, is an adjudicated sexual assaulter who essentially raped E. Jean Carroll digitally in a dressing room at Bergdorf Goodman. He is a creep. We know he was close friends with Jeff Epstein. We have photos of them dancing and partying together. We also know he has been credibly accused of sexual assault. So you need to reach out to some abstract Venezuelan gang member for purposes of trying to intimidate Taylor Swift or her supporters into not voting for Kamala Harris. And so that's what we have. Now, I'm not going to play it for you right now, but I might tomorrow. There is Stephen Miller in the spin room was being completely fact-checked by a reporter from Venezuela. It is fabulous. I will share it with you tomorrow. But we're getting to the end of the show, and it is now time for Crazy Town. And Crazy Town is going to begin with Lara Trump. And no, I am not showing Lara Trump's video that dropped like last week. I don't want copyright issues, and I also don't want your ears to start bleeding. Seriously, because I did watch part of it and I thought I was going to die. her new video release, which, you know, as head of the Republican National Committee, you think she would have more important things to do than put out a really terrible music video. But here we go. Let's start our crazy town. Talk on the other side. Now, I heard some people don't like the crazy town music. And here's what I have to say. You know, not everything is for everybody. So if you're not loving the crazy town music, it was like one person out of like 5,000. It's okay to like leave the show when Crazy Town comes up. I personally think this is the best part of the show. It's something we can look forward to. I mean, that's me. But, you know, again, the show's not for everyone. Some people also think I should vary my mugs. And they were like, they only want to see don't vote for fascists. You know, and I know that. I love this mug, and you can buy one yourself, but sometimes I want to use a different mug, you know? And so it feels like, you know, it's my show. I'll use whatever fucking coffee mug I want. And you should do that too, right? I want to please my audience, but there are limits, my friends. Okay, let's play Lara Trump.
Tell you is Donald Trump has been preparing for this his entire life. He always is prepared, and he's ready to take Kamala Harris head on that stage.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan.
President Trump is well prepared for the debate tomorrow night. That is right. He doesn't need traditional debate prep.
You have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
That.
You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically.
It's imagine like a boxer trying to prepare for Floyd Mayweather or Muhammad Ali.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Guys, I can't stop laughing. Okay. I will see you later this morning on Mary's station, Mary Trump Media. We are going to be there, not this morning, but at noon. At noon for nerds. I will go to my grave not ever stopping laughing when I hear that. It is too good, you guys. Anyway, see you at noon on Mary's station. Bye.